I'm sorry. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
You were trying to get the officer who murdered George Floyd pardoned, and I just want to know what your reasoning was about that.
Well, George Floyd didn't die because of the police officer. He died largely because of a drug overdose.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Snakewood and that personal. Big shout out to SPR, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned, all that.
Is that right, Charlie? Is that how you feel? How honorable is it to get an opportunity to give your life for the cause you feel so strongly about? Wow, that is poetically ironic. He has a glorified moment behind a thing that he said that was so bold. Phew, it gives me chill. The reality is so cold. D.O. Hughley weighs in. With no further ado, let's see what he say they have been up to. You know, he's good for a controversial take on political issues. And I grew up running the same streets he did. It's called Magic Johnson Park now, but it was called, back in the day, it was called Willowbrook Park, right there by the Ujima Village, close to Centennial and in the West Side Piru neighborhood. I can recall when Puto passed, there was this thing that went around where it was a false accusation. It was a picture of a gang, Keyways in the Jordan Down projects with Nipsey. And they had one of the individuals circled talking about it's always somebody closest to you. And it was Puto trying to say that it was shitty. And it was so, the picture had gone so viral that Puto at the gas station was pumping gas with his pistol on him because niggas was looking at him crazy and he ain't know. This was like the day of Nipsey's passing and the following few days before the funeral. And a few celebrities had posted it. And I remember me and a few of my Google Gang trolls being on a campaign to just get in their comments and flood them and tell them they wrong. That boy's mother loves Nipsey. You causing a lot of turmoil, strife, and we got a lot of people to pull it down rather quickly. D.L. Hughley, it took some, I don't know how many DMs I sent him. I don't know how many times I got on that same post, sent messages. He was stubborn, but he finally took it down. And then that was then. And I remember as recently as, I love you, Mama, saying, as a few months ago, she hit me up, asked me if she think we could sue D.L. Hughley to this day. If you a lawyer under the sound of my voice, you think we got some type of defamation suit, we know that social media stuff don't ever go away. They can find it. Tap in, let me know. Get your fee. Pro bono, though. I'm just saying. But with no further ado, let's see what he say they have been up to.
I'm going to bring in D.L. Hughley right now. And I want D.L., you have been, I think, the clearest voice. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I think you've been the clearest voice on this because you're speaking truth to power without, condoning violence. You're speaking to the hypocrisy that's happening on the right now.
Mm-hmm. That always is a strange euphemism to me, condoning. The act already happened. America has, by definition, decided that it will condone. But even Charlie Kirk, by his own words, said that a certain amount of deaths were acceptable. So the word is kind of weird and a misnomer to ask someone after the fact whether they condone what already happened. This is America's choice. They have decided that these deaths, whether they be children, whether they be people shot at synagogues or at grocery stores or at malls, we even have different classifications of the way we're shot. Thousands, tens of thousands, more Americans have died at the hands of Americans than have died in every single war we've ever fucking been. So ISIS ain't got a damn thing on us. So, but to say to anybody whether they condone what already happened is a bit of a misnomer when America, by definition, has already done the same thing.
So when I say that they're trying to make him into the second coming, or
Sure.
somehow saying that he's a deity, or I get that he's a martyr now.
I told y'all about the martyr effect, but it just lets you know how willing people are to worship pure evilness. It's obvious. And they hollering this Christian thing, but this is how obvious it was that Christians or people that consider themselves godly could be evil when they was burning crosses. It's no difference. We're just in a more sophisticated time. It's kind of diluted. I hear a lot of black people jumping in the comments, disagreeing. I'm glad I bumped into Nelly Fuller Jr. because I know how to deal with it. That's okay. Some of my people don't see it. And I can't let that distract me or, deter my focus because they don't see it. On my mama, hopefully, eventually, they'll realize what's right in front of their face. They don't give a about us.
But I want you to listen. This is Glenn Beck. Now, we all know what Charlie Kirk has said.
Right.
And it's actually less about...
I think a lot of people pretend like they don't know. That's the thing. Okay. A lot of people pretend like they don't know. My manager, who's I've been my manager 30 years, he wasn't aware of all the things he said. And I think there are a lot of people who just kind of are tuned into a certain frequency and can, they get to cherry pick things. But if you're one of those groups that have been marginalized, one of those groups that he's spoken out against, I think you're keenly aware of what he said. But I think that there's some people who get to not know.
So what my point is that if this has happened to Charlie Kirk, and as Democrats have been saying, and most people, this is awful. No one should be, a victim of political violence. It's not acceptable. Democrats are saying that. Republicans are saying that. But if they weren't trying to rewrite history, the history of Charlie Kirk in this moment, the president ordering flags to be flown at half-staff, the members of Congress petitioning for Charlie Kirk to have a state-like funeral. Now, I can't think of the Charlie Kirk, if there even is one on the left, what they would be saying if someone that they deemed, even if it was true or not, to be a racist or a bigot or didn't like Republicans or anti-right-wing. I wonder what outrage and the level, the volume of the outrage would be on the right. Let me play this from Glenn Beck, and I want you to respond to it, TL. Here's Glenn Beck. He's a civil rights leader, he's saying.
We must stop calling Charlie anything other than a civil rights leader.
Wow. Yeah, they'll create whatever they choose.
We need to plant that stake deep. It is time that we point out that what he was doing was not politics. What he was doing was trying to stand up for people's civil rights, to show people how a civilization is not a civilization unless you can have a dialogue with people who are diametrically opposed to you, that don't believe anything that you believe in. And yet you can have a civil dialogue, and how important that is. That's our civil right, our right to free speech. And that gunman was trying to take that right away from him and from you and everyone else. Shut up. You will be silenced. You will not say those things. And there has been a force in this country to try to convince people that you don't.
America's so petty. They'll let one person's, whatever it is, turn into a political issue for the whole country to be arguing and debating about. One person had these distorted intentions. Not that his views were distorted, not that his disagreements was distorted, but if murdering someone in a public forum like that has not physically harmed you or attacked you is wrong, then that was a distorted intention. Outside of that, how does the conversation bleed over to what everybody else thinks and believes? Only one person committed this atrocity. You said we all have the right to freedom of speech. We all have the right to freedom of thought. And everybody is freely speaking and thinking, and you guys are crying about it. No one is firing guns except that one individual. And everybody in America, we all are saying the same thing. We should all have the right to think and say what we desire. So what is the complaining about?
don't have a right, that you have a responsibility to silence others. You don't. In this country, one of our main civil rights is we can express ourselves the way we feel we need to express ourselves.
Exactly. And I don't hear the shooter's name said. It's Tyler what? Tyler. I can't even call it at this point. I should know his name by heart. But they're too busy addressing everybody else's ideologies who don't agree with them versus addressing the individual who did the extreme act. This is crazy. Emotional, petty people you are.
And I'm sorry, if you don't like it, you have to just take it and then say, I'd like to have a discussion with you on that. I'd like to know how you got there. I'd like to have the
irony. That is your only recourse of dealing with Charlie's death. And that's what we're doing. And just because we don't agree with you, you should not have your panties in a bunch. If you think that somehow an issue this public with this many people having opinions, that there's going to be everyone on the same accord or one accord, you're goofy. So when it does not happen, for you then to be all distraught and disappointed shows a lack of intelligence, at least emotionally. You know for a fact when you have a strong conviction, there's going to be opposition to your position regardless. So why then, when it happened, do you have this emotional reaction? It just, I don't know, it behooves me to question your emotional intelligence.
opportunity to argue against that, and you have that right to argue against it.
Okay. Listen, enough of Glenn Beck. He's not even he's missing the point here because people, folks are saying you can say whatever you want, but go on.
It's deliberate. That's ironic and very rich right now. People are being fired from their jobs because they're saying what Charlie Kirk actually said. People right now are threatened to be pulled off planes because they've said something about the FBI director. People are being kicked out of the country because they said something about Trump. So let's stop with the whole free. There's a difference between free speech and hate speech. There's a difference between free speech and yelling fire in a crowded room. And they think that all of that is the same. I don't care about his ideological views. I care that his ideological views led to, he deliberately said that there are a certain amount of things that should happen that are bad. When your conversations stop with my humanity, then it's not a conversation at all. But I find it interesting that one of the ways to get deified on the right is to do horrible things to black people, like Confederate generals. They're getting statues. Glenn Beck got an award. They're talking about Charlie Kirk lying in state, and he should lie in state because he lied in a bunch of states. Every time you see, generally, what is the allure with the people who have said the most racist and incendiary things on the right that they got to be deified? What's the purpose of deifying?
Has D.L. Hughley always been that skinny? He looked mighty slim.
Deifying Confederate generals. Like whenever I see a white guy encased in bronze on a statue, whenever I see a white dude on a horse in the middle of a park in bronze, I know he hated black people. Like the last guy that got a bronze statue that didn't hate black people was Rocky, and even he beat the shit out of Apollo Creed. So there is decidedly a way that we see the world where name me a person that they deified that was about or that they lionized that didn't have a checkered, sorted, acrimonious past when it came to certain members of our society.
You can't do it. From George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, they want us to praise and revere, and all of them treated our people like they didn't matter at one point or another, treated them like animals less than human. And we supposed to be sitting in classes for 13 years, learning about these people, to respect them and overlook all those atrocities and somehow only focus on whatever accomplishments that can be accredited to them. Only a foolish people would do so when you cannot give any credit to Hitler for anything he may have done positive as a human. We seen Kanye do it, and they crucified him publicly. He been crossed up ever since. He can say George Bush don't like white people. He can say slavery is a choice. But as soon as he said Hitler is not 100% bad, kaboom, it was a wrap.
Name me one. Just one. I don't care if you tell me the Confederate generals that they reinstated. I don't care if you tell me it was Rush Limbaugh. I don't care if put the things on under his monument that he's actually said that you think illuminate.
Even Joe Rogan, I'm glad he described it as checkered because I f with Joe Rogan, but they have a whole campaign of like the N-word gate where they strung together a whole lot of clips of compilation of Joe Rogan using the N-word very freely, even if it was in a context that was not derogatory. It was beyond the time when it was socially not acceptable to even repeat it in a news clip if you're quoting the actual verbiage in the news in the incident. Our society had agreed that no one uses the word at any time. They replaced it with the N word. And Joe Rogan himself, in a checker sense, went long beyond that time. I don't believe he does it any longer. However, he went long past that time, being very free, using that word on stage and comedy and in some very sarcastic. I mean, Joe Rogan even said he was out of town somewhere on tour. A movie, A Planet of the Apes, came out that he really wanted to go see, and where the area he was in a black neighborhood. And he said when he went to, I don't know, the movie might not have been Planet of the Apes, but he said when he walked into the theater and he had never been into an all black demographic theater, he felt like he was in the Planet of the Apes. So these are the people that they hold up, act like, it's no big deal. On my mama.
And then put the things that he actually said that kind of make things darker, and there'll be no reason to have him. He wouldn't even lower the flag for the Pope. He wouldn't attend John McCain's funeral. But this is who you choose to lionize.
But DL, you're making the point, because people will say, why are you talking this way about Charlie Kirk? At the end of the day, this is not really about Charlie Kirk. It is and it isn't. It's really about the response and the hypocrisy on the Republican side, and pointing out that just how devious their antics are and what they're doing. Donald Trump, in my opinion, doesn't give a shit about Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump cares about himself. And proof, just let me give you proof. This is Donald Trump asked about Charlie Kirk. Now I want you to just listen closely to his response today.
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually. Thank you so much.
He is asked about Charlie Kirk, and he points to this ugly fucking ballroom that he's building that no one wants except for him.
I think that Donald Trump is, in my belief, and this is my estimation, is like most white men in America. I think it is the exception that is different than him. I think he is morally bankrupt. I think that he is transactional. I think if you told me I was like Obama, I would be flattered. But people will pretend to be insulted by a man that they champion. We always have these. I think it's hard for him and a lot of people like him to even fake empathy. They have to fake caring. They have to be told what to do, because being humane and being empathic doesn't come organically to them. And I think he's more like, there are more people that are like him, more white guys that are like him than aren't. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't tolerate the things that he does. He was quicker to send people to hurt Los Angeles who didn't vote for him than to help Texas who did. He's quicker to do things to hurt people that didn't support him than help those who did. And that is the kind of moral bankruptcy that I think is in a lot of people who are powerful people. I think that democracy was always a fraught proposition because it always required people to look past themselves. And we run out of men like that. I think now people are transactional. Now people are tribal, and there are things that'll happen. And that man, to me, epitomizes all that America is. I think you'd be hard pressed to find people that are not like him. That's my opinion. I think you couldn't. How do you give Rush Limbaugh the Medal of Freedom? How are you contemplating giving Charlie Kirk? Like, what did he do that was so noteworthy?
Man, I'm so glad that we have someone with a platform as large as D.L. Hughley that has the courage to speak so openly and so honestly about the proper perspective on these political issues, man. This is very refreshing to hear. Salutations towards you, my brother. Not saying all of a sudden I'm a total avid D.L. Hughley supporter. He has said some things publicly I definitely don't agree with. But at this moment, the clarity that he is speaking with is definitely appreciated.
What is the speech he gave? What is he's not a poet. He didn't invent a vaccine. He wasn't a great general. What did he do? Like, name me the thing that he did that drew people together. But that is the approximation. They can't even, they're so devoid of actually having experience where they struggle. They have to approximate other struggles. They have to conflate him with Dr. Martin Luther King. They have to conflate him with Rosa Parks or people with Rosa Parks because they're so devoid of struggle. And I think he is the epitome of what this country is. And I think there are more people that are like him that are not. And I think that's why we're in the situation we're in, because we ran out of people who cared more about things that were. If you run on empathy, you run on things you can't relate to people anymore. So I think that's where we are. We're running on morality. Our morality is on E right now.
But it just points out, I believe, DL, the political divide, not even the political divide, the real life divide here in America between, I'm speaking generally of Black people and white people, some white people in this country. Because if they understood what it's like, and I should say minorities or people who are part of the underserved community, people who are part of the communities who are attacked, if they don't understand why the group of Americans, these groups of Americans are sitting here scratching our heads, because I'm one of them wondering, like, wait a minute, why are you treating Charlie Kirk like he's a monarch, like he is actually a member of the government, that he is deserving of a state funeral, that he is actually deserving of the honor of having flags lowered to half staff, that he is deserving of the honor of having the Presidential Medal of Freedom, an honor that's usually for war heroes, of people who have made major sacrifices to the country and fought in times against things that.
I want to applaud both these gentlemen for not conflating Don Lennon's dual struggle with the struggle of Black America, because so often people combine the two. Civil rights, this is big umbrella, and we know Don Lennon is a member of that community, but this conversation did not include that element, and I appreciate it more for that reason.
Were wrong when it wasn't popular.
What is the thing that he did that we can all agree on, that were illuminating, that made us all cohesive? What is the thing that as human beings, what is the thing he has said or done in his life that drew people in and gathered them together? Like, what poem is it? What device is it? What charity is it? What thing has he done? And what he has done is the thing that they all come and have in common, whether it's Rush Limbaugh or any number of Confederate generals where they name their parks and schools and bases after, or even now him. The thing they have in common, if they have maligned, either verbally maligned or physically hurt people that they believe were inferior.
Deeper than that, y'all, Hughley, Lennon, and Williams are names that indicate ownership by their ancestors of our ancestors. And those are our last names, y'all. That's crazy.
All of them. Name me name me a guy that he honored that didn't have a racist past. I don't care if we're talking about Hulk Hogan. All of them have that in common.
I've never seen a white person get up and say, hey, Black people, from the sincerity of my heart, it's about time you guys should be legally all trying to change your last names to establish your identity. It's not a good look to be running around with the last names of your slave owners. Never heard Charlie Kirk or any of his constituents, Candace Owens, no one say anything of that sentiment. It's like, just accept I've spoken about it and let it filter away. But really need to look into legally changing our last name and trying to convince my children to follow in my steps. Let's all change our last names to something melanated from the start. Oh, my mama. Probably start with a W just to keep the initials the same, but I think that's worth looking into.
And to me, the thing that I am incensed by, there is a difference between not wanting a young man's life snuffed out and then having that life be an example for others. Would you want your kids to grow up to be like him? Either one of them. You could tell me how much, and we always have these conversations. We would you leave your daughter in a room with Donald Trump? Would you leave your children? Do you want your children to be like him? Does he, everything he is, everything he says, everything he does, we were told as children not to act like. We were told not to be. Everything he did, everything he does, the way he comports himself, the things he believed, the things he espouses, the things he said, like all today, he talked about only the people who were on the right. He's not the president of the United States, clearly. He's the president of the United States. In this climate, this tells you how petty and how tribal and myopic this man is. How is it in this politically charged climate, when you know people are being killed, there've been two assassination attempts on your life, you take Secret Service protection away from your rival, knowing what could happen?
After seeing his 22-year-old one-shot kill Charlie Kirk, I no longer believe in those assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life whatsoever. I think that was staged, set up. It's a play, perhaps even to set up this clean shot on Charlie and not have no suspicion on him. You see how everybody automatically includes the attempt on Donald Trump's life as a similar incident like Charlie's, like it led up, they're all one and the same, and that seemed like the perfect thing for a government to do, so people would look at it that way. Don't sleep, don't slip, or show up slow.
You do that on purpose. What human being would do that? And I tell you what human being, a lot of white dudes feel just like him. And that's why he's allowed to do it. Because if you didn't feel, there are certain things that you
can listen to whoever you want to, but the late, great neighborhood Nip the Crip said, inside job if it smell fishy.
Could do, I would never go along with, and you could lose my support, and I would be vocal about it. What has he ever done? Like this whole Epstein thing. Either he is a child molester or is a
and he said, Donald Trump, oh, wow, man, got a letter from the FBI. Ooh, wee. The homie was pushing buttons, the spook that sat by the door.
Or is abetting something. There's no really ambiguity about either he is a child, either he's a pedophile, or is an accomplice, or is abetting them, or obscuring for them, or covering for them. So how is it that you can tell us that you are the moral leaders of our country, that you're even all the things that he says and does, you couldn't get hired at White Castle, let alone be the White House? And I think he's indicative of who this country actually is.
D.L. Hughley, thank you, sir. I appreciate you joining us.
Always, man.
Always. Have a good one.
It's getting hard trying to live in this land, Lord. I'm sick of paying rent, I wanna be the landlord. Not too many children in my section 8 last night. Lights out, they on section 8. We get constipated from that government cheese. Paying taxes, steady get a government cheese. Don't nothing change, no matter who we vote for. So why waste time even going to try to vote for? When you grind so hard, you supposed to see profit. Why we so broke? We supposed to be prophets. We never had a choice on coming to America. I feel something real bad is coming to America. I don't write the mayor, they say I got a right to, but I don't even know where a nigga supposed to write to. I keep my chest up and head to the sky until the day I burn or head to the sky. There was many bad days. Lord, I've had hills to climb and sleepless nights. But when I look around and see what you've done for me, I say thank you, Lord, and I won't complain. I'm no devil, I know that I'm God's son, but I still smoke weed with my godson. And even though they say the woman is the backbone, we just wanna see them laying on their backbone. Thumb through the word, but you know what's confusing? Between the experts, it's so much confusion. I want it all, for all that I care about. I want a ball, that's all that I care about. Travel 50 states, broke 48 laws. Ran across a book called 48 Laws. Some say it's bad, some say it's a good book. I say it ain't got nothing on the good book. I ain't tripping on going to the motherland. On the other hand, I like to buy my motherland. What price can we all get peaceful? Stay at war and swear that we peaceful. What's wrong? Can't we all get along? Wanna buy a home, but can't get along. I'm trying to stay focused and write the right rhymes, cause these days everybody write rhymes. Uncle went to the rehab, hooked on morphine. It seems he came out even more fiend. Don't wanna see cuz die or blood bleed. We all lose every time black blood bleed. Holla Hail Mary, a light no candle, but I'm still trying to handle what I can do. I go hard for what I need, so it's ample. Watch me, you won't need no example. Crucial situation, my life in a crisis. Need to trade my life in for crisis. Please forgive me for what I did last night. I don't know, this might be my last night.
A case where we had an African-American guy who was a fan of mine. Great fan, great guy. In fact, I want to find out what's going on with him. You know what I'm, look at my African-American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So
you got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Yeah, neighborhood Nip Hustle. Giving a shout out right now to SPR in the streets. My brother, y'all already know what it is. Schwarzenegger. It's neighborhood Nip Hustle. Big shout out to SPR, Spotter Low. You know I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.